Hey guys, it's Strategist. This time, I'm coming at you with Arena Assault. This gives me the opportunity to finally talk about all the extra teams that I've set up and actually put some time, resources, and effort into. So I'll primarily be talking about all the different teams and their synergies and stuff, kind of my thought processes when I'm putting these teams together. So this one has gone through a lot of changes. I used to have Joshua in here. I think I used to have Male Robin in it. And I've changed it up significantly, mostly due to the fact that I've changed other teams up. And I've taken units out of those teams, which were strong enough that I still wanted to use them some way, somehow. For example, Fjorm. Actually, everybody but Raven here. This team was originally built centered around Raven because he's probably one of the best player phase axe units in the game. Pretty damn close to Legion. Long story short, if your Raven is plus speed or plus attack, he's better than Legion. Otherwise, if you don't have that Raven or those IVs of a Raven, if you want a player phase axe unit, Legion is a very solid choice. I ended up going with Raven, almost 5-star to Legion to give to Raven. That would have been fun. But I swapped a lot of things out, built the team around Raven, him primarily being the player phase unit. And I may change him up a little bit to be a hybrid instead by giving him Fury or something like that. But Brydelia there will buff the crap out of Tharja, 5 defense, 5 speed, and that will apply to her Blade Tome. And then Raven obviously has the dual rally for the speed and defense in case Brydelia doesn't proc. And then Hone Attack and Speed on the other units in order to get those buffs off on Tharja. Pretty player phase heavy, and then I've got Fjorm there to be pretty much everything. She's got decent defense and decent res. So now I'm going to talk about this team. I didn't give myself enough time to talk about the last one, but this one I called Queen's Fort, mostly because Sanaki's the Apostle. It's pretty much synonymous with Queen, not quite, but you get the gist. I plan on refining Sanaki's weapon so that way she gets essentially attack and res bond, except it's within 2 of a flyer, which is pretty cool considering that Sanaki's personal guard consisted of Pegasus Knights. So that's a nice little touch right there. I'll be refining that so she gets those awesome buffs. She's already a res tank the way it is. So basically how I built this one is I took my big res tank and I took a big, physical tank and I put them on the team and then I put supports with them. I used to have Titania on the team, which obviously now it's Camilla. I switched to Camilla due to the fact that I wanted to get that extra, value out of Sanaki's tome. And Camilla has basically the same job that Titania had, which was to tank blue units. That would give Sanaki or Lucas trouble, namely blue magic. That is the very clear weakness between the two of them. So with Camilla here, she can easily take blue magic hits all day. And I think I might even give her Triangle Adept due to the fact that that's her sole job, aside from doing some guidance here and there, her Hone Attack buffing. Lucas doesn't need speed whatsoever, so he's got the Hone Speed C skill to give the other units that actually can make use of speed to them. And then I've got New Year Corrin here, who is the defense and resistance buff bot. +8 for both of those units is significant, and they take 0 damage pretty fucking often. The other glaring weakness is the weakness to bow units, namely fucking Brave Lyn. So New Year Corrin having very high defense and giving him Bowbreaker eliminates that weakness. So essentially, it is a fort. Everybody's extremely bulky, and they can dish out a ton of power with their specials. I really like that team a lot. So this one is obviously Cancer Emblem. It's got the fucking horse units with the buffs, and primarily what I use here is my Blade Tome Ursula. I always have them paired up in such a way that she gets all of the buffs that she can. The only thing that really holds Ursula back a bit is her speed. If she just had a little bit more speed, oh man, she could probably nuke everything I put her against, but she usually only gets maybe 1 attack off, but that's really all she needs also, for the most part. So my buff setup on this team is 2 Fortifies, 2 Hones, so that way it makes it really easy for everyone to get all of the buffs all of the time. Instead of running, you know, only 1 Hone, 1 Fort, and then some wards or goads or something. I just wanted to guarantee and make it easier to maneuver the units in such a way that they get the buffs that they need, especially with Blade Tome Ursula there. I don't need to talk about Camus too much because he's obviously got the classic Fury Vantage setup. Brave Lyn, she's pretty much classic build. She does have Desperation 3, but I do use Sakei's Blessing more often than that. Brave Roy, also basic setup. I kind of wish I had some sort of Death Blow fodder or Swift Strike or Swift Sparrow fodder, so that way I could give him the attack and the speed. He doesn't really need the Sturdy Blow, but I guess the defense, the extra defense is okay, but I'd rather have that more offense-oriented. So since I don't need any rally skills or nothing, everybody's got a movement support skill with the more tankier things having reposition and then the ranged units having drawback, which is how I usually run my units the way it is. And with this team, as you can see, for the most part, all I really do is buff my Blade Tome and then reposition, let the enemy come to me. It's a bit of a cakewalk, really, and, you know, I called it Cancer Emblem for a reason. Not too much effort, not too much anything, really. I should really stop using this team. So yeah, there you go. Not much to talk about. There you have it. It's fucking Horse Emblem. Go figure. Okay, so this one I actually like a lot too, and it's pretty heavily centered on Brave Lucina here. And I know this might trigger a couple of you, but you can see Lucina here, normal Lucina with the Brave Sword build. I love it. Now, I know you want an explanation. The reason for this is simply for variety and the fact that my Sword Lucina is plus speed and the fact that Kain really fucking sucks. In my opinion, anyway. I've got plenty better sword cavalry units, so I really didn't need Kain. He's just taking up a spot in the roster. And since I already had Masked Marth, who can't get that speed boon, I decided to leave Masked Marth with the classic Lucina build with, like, you know, Fury and whatever, Falchion. So I gave my Sword Lucina the Brave Sword, and it works really well with Brave Lucina with the extra attack and speed buffs and everything that I have built onto it. This team is somewhat weak to magic. Ike can tank a Reinhardt if he needs to, but for the most part, when it comes to mages, I'll just use Jafar since he can't be countered because of his Deathly Dagger weapon refine bonus effect, which is really awesome. And I'm also running the double Savage Blow build on him as well, which also really helps this team, makes it just a cakewalk. I mean, when things take, you know, 22 to 25 passive damage, I haven't upgraded the seal to max just yet, but when they just take all that passive damage, there isn't much they can do about it. You just walk in and wipe it up. And also Brave Ike, real quick, you know, classic build. He's got quick riposte, but that's the only different thing about him. Brave Ike is Brave Ike. Don't need to say too much about him. But that's that team. I like it a lot. It really does work. Brave Sword Lucina. I know that'll trigger a bunch of you guys, but I actually have a lot of fun using her. Okay, so Armor Emblem. Oh man, I really got lucky with the units that I pulled. And in this footage, I also forgot to switch out Black Knight for Zelgius. But for the most part, I'm actually keeping Zelgius's Warp Powder because that makes it much easier to maneuver my units, and so that way he doesn't get left behind when he's not the one that gets the Armor March buff, which is really awesome. The fact that he has Warp Powder, I also gave him Reposition, so he can literally... It's crazy. If you set up your units in just the right way, he can pretty much teleport across the map and reposition one of your units. You can make your Armor Emblem so stupidly mobile. Oh my god. It's amazing. So I've got the classic Tharja, Winter Tharja build here. I don't think I changed anything about it except giving her Aether. So basically what that does is instead of giving her nuke potential, it gives her longevity, which I think is better in this case because I may, you know, tank with her when I need to. But otherwise, if I really don't feel like thinking about it too hard, I'll just use my Blade Tome Henry there, who has the +3 speed seal on him, and he'll just go ahead and nuke everything out of existence. One time I did 222 damage to Tsubaki, who was wielding Sapphire Lance. That was pretty hilarious. That was also off an Astra proc, because I gave him Astra for shits and giggles, but otherwise Glimmer's fantastic. Oh man. I'm winning too fast. I can't talk about the teams as long as I want to. Shit! Effie has Berkut's Lands, which isn't as much of a meme anymore because of the res buff. Like, holy shit, that's a lot. Even if it's just resistance, 11 points is a lot. I'll probably give her Aether next time I get a Crom or something that I can fodder. But that's about it. A lot of you have seen Armor Emblem, know what to expect. Not too surprising. Here, I've got Spring Xander, which I think is actually a criminally underrated unit, primarily because of his insane defense. And to support that, he's got Earth Boost. And the thing that people don't like about Spring Xander is obviously his attack. So all of the synergy in his build, he's got Poison Strike, which... the Earth Boost allows him both player and enemy phase utility. He's kind of lacking in speed, but it's manageable. So what I can do is both bait and counter with Spring Xander. His insane defense allowing him usually to take only, you know, 1 or 2 damage from a physical unit. When he initiates back on the unit that attacked him, if he doesn't have Ignis ready, he can just chip away at the opponent, while charging his special, and also keeping his HP higher than the enemy with his Carrot Lance, and doing passive damage with the Poison Strike. I really like it a lot. Probably one of the best uses I've personally had with Poison Strike. I've got Julia here to be my magic tank, who is obviously a Reinhardt counter. This week is, or this team is somewhat weak to Brave Lynn, but with Spring Xander's insane defense, I can bait her in and eventually counter her with somebody. Aira being my player phase unit on this team. Takumi is here because he has a nice kind of hybrid build to him. Spring Xander and Aira both have dual rally skills. So basically whatever I'm using to bait in or put into the enemy's danger zone gets these buffs and basically do whatever I need them to. You know, bait, counter, you know, initiate. It's pretty versatile, and I like that team a lot. Like, also a lot. Okay, so this one, which I always save my primary team for last. You've seen it plenty of times in well, actually, probably not actually. I get confused. I recorded a lot of footage, but I incorporated Micaiah onto my team, which caused Fjorm to be redundant because I don't need an additional magic tank. Ike, for the most part, he's plus defense minus HP, so he can pretty much take any physical hit that he needs to, aside from a speedy Aira, which can do ridiculous damage to him. Which is why Micaiah actually has Swordbreaker here. I didn't have the quick riposte seal yet, or any fodder for her. I probably would have given her both of those otherwise, but I went with attack +3 and heavy blade seal, which worked insanely well. I've given Micaiah Swordbreaker due to the fact that a speedy Aira can give my Ike a lot of trouble and could probably also kill Ninian there. She ain't too tanky either. So giving Micaiah Swordbreaker will at least allow her to take a single hit from Aira, because they also have distant counter because, you know, defense team lulls. So that'll allow Micaiah to take the hit, counter, and kill her. Well, on initiation, I mean. And you know my Ike, you know my Soren. Having a very solid unit from each color, Ike, Soren, who also covers colorless, and Micaiah, I don't really need another unit, or even a colorless unit, so that's why Ninian's in there, to be a dancer and kind of a buff bot. Anyway, I hope you like this. I really wanted to show off these teams for a while, worked hard on them, spent a lot of time on them, so yeah.